Everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand as there is more breaking news, and it is that Mason Greenwood to Marseille is here we go. Manchester United will be letting go of Mason Greenwood to Marseille as they have got an outgoing this summer, an incoming this morning by getting Yoro in, and now Mason Greenwood is officially here we go. I mean, we knew this was coming. We knew the agreement was in place with Marseille, and there's been some movement over the last couple of days with Greenwood accepting the personal terms from Marseille. But Fabrizio Romano has now put it out that Mason Greenwood, here we go, to Marseille. Manchester United will be getting funds in from this deal, straight pure profit as he's from the academy. And we've got all the details, how we're going to spend this. Does this help us in the transfer market? But I think it's a really good thing for Manchester United to get this deal over the line. We've been saying for so long now that Mason Greenwood cannot play for Manchester United next season. He just couldn't play. He was going to leave. We needed to get the deal done. We needed to get him off the books, get the profit in, release that awkwardness and get moving on. So both parties can move on with Mason Greenwood can move on with his career, and Manchester United can move on without Mason Greenwood and without that saga following them. So Marseille is getting Mason Greenwood from Manchester United, and what Fabrizio Romano has put out there is he's put Mason Greenwood to Marseille is here we go, deal in place between all parties. Marseille have booked a private flight for Mason Greenwood to land in Marseille, undergo medical tests and sign. Deal valid until June 2029. Man United to receive €30 million package plus a 50% sell-on clause. Now, what does that sell-on clause entail? We will get into that detail as well, because some people might get a little bit confused over what money we get if Mason Greenwood does eventually move to another club, which I think is very highly likely considering the talent he has. And of course, he's got the baggage that carries with him, but he's going to be playing in France, the French league. I think he's going to stat pad quite well in that league, and there probably is going to be other clubs interested in him in the future. Manchester United can get a 50% sell-on clause in that. How much money would they receive? But ultimately, €30 million for an unusable asset, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that because we couldn't use Mason Greenwood. We couldn't. He wasn't going to play this season. The decision was made a long time ago that he would leave Manchester United. We had Romano saying that on the show. As soon as INEOS came in, the decision was made that Mason Greenwood would leave. He wasn't going to be able to play for Manchester United. So to recoup some sort of fee for him that is pure profit, I think is good business from INEOS. And to get €30 million, which what is that, about £25 million? In when you're talking about pounds in terms of British currency, I think that's pretty decent for an unusable asset. So good business from INEOS, and it's just good to get him off the books and get some profit into the club, because Manchester United are already spending. Xerxes, Yoro looks like it's happening, medical happening today, that could happen any time. It's good to get some money in, especially when it's been put out there that the signing of a De Ligt could rest upon how much money we bring in to the football club. But get all your comments in, get your opinions in, and get your super chats in as well. What I did want to say on the sell-on clause regarding Mason Greenwood is 50% sell-on clause for Mason Greenwood, which means it's 50% of the profit that is made on Mason Greenwood. So, for example, €30 million is what Marseille is paying us for Mason Greenwood. As a package, that's what they're paying us. So if in a few years' time Marseille sell Mason Greenwood for example €60 million, the profit that they've made on that is €30 million. So Manchester United would get €15 million from that deal. So it's a fair chunk of money. It is a fair deal in my opinion. So in a few years' time, if Mason Greenwood went for 60 million, we'd receive 15 million from that, from the profit of what Marseille has made on the deal. So Manchester United have the sell-on clause in there, and it's very highly likely that he probably is going to make another move in his career, and Manchester United would then profit from that again. So I think it's good business, and you can tell as well since INEOS is coming in, can I just say, transfer market is just moving so much better than it's ever moved for us in terms of how quickly we're making deals happen, the way that we're moving, the way that negotiating. I mean, the Yoro deal, I know Mark spoke about it loads this morning, but it's just absolutely fantastic the way that we've managed to get that. Well, not quite, but nearly over the line, honestly. The fact that we're competing with Real Madrid in a transfer and it looks like we're winning it. I know we throw more money at it, but it's incredible. But not only the way that we're moving in terms of incomings, Willy Camboala, the sell-on clause we've got in that, the fee that we ended up getting for him, That never would have happened under the old Manchester United. And now Mason Greenwood, who was an unusable asset, who did have to leave the football club, to manage to get quite a decent fee for him, considering all of his backstory and his baggage, and then to include that sell-on clause as well. I think he's good business for Manchester United, so it's good to get that deal done and get money in the pot. No more questions about Mason Greenwood. It's the end of the saga and we can just move on as a football club, which I think is really, really important. But get all your comments in. Masood, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. And Welshie says, can we just take a minute to remember how many times in a transfer window the talk of FFP was put out to the media? United are cooking now, finally. Well, I think that's a really good super chat. So often, at the start of the transfer window, we saw reports that Manchester United only have £50 million to spend, and then it just depends on outgoings. Manchester United are working on a very tight budget, and we are working on a tight budget. We do have to keep an eye on financial fair play, but Manchester United are putting together deals where we can work around this budget. For example, Xerxes, we're paying over 3 years. Yoro, we've got on a payment plan. We're not paying all that money up front for Yoro. So the initial fees of both of these players aren't that high, which allows us to work for other targets as well. Xerxes coming in, Yoro now coming in, Greenwood gone for quite a decent fee. Camboire, as much as I would have liked him to go on loan because I think he is talented, but he's out of the door for quite a decent fee. Donny van der Beek, I mean, the fee we got for him was basically nothing, wasn't it? But his career is, I mean, it's tragic what happened to him, but at least he's out the door finally. The Jadon Sancho saga, as much as a lot of you guys would have wanted him sold, INEOS, he was in the shop window. We were trying to sell him. We couldn't find any takers. We've somehow managed to resolve things with Erik ten Hag and Sancho, so he is part of the first team, which, again, makes him more viable to a sale for other clubs. But also, if he does stay, then that awkwardness is gone, and Ten Hag has already spoken to the media. They've drawn a line, they've moved on. That saga's over. We're actually moving like a football club that wants to be the best and is working like a professional outfit. And Manchester United have, well, they've made a big splash in the transfer window. Liverpool haven't made any signings yet. I mean, Chelsea have made a lot of signings, but a lot of young players. There's been no one of any significance, really. Aston Villa have made a few good signings as well. I think Man City has signed Savio, and that's it so far. Manchester United have got in a really good young striker with a lot of prospects, and now Yoro as well, 18 years old, was going to Real Madrid. Everyone thought he was going to Real Madrid. Looks like he's somehow signing for Manchester United. Yes, we're giving him more money than what Real Madrid was going to. Yes, we've paid quite a big fee. But for me, we're righting the wrongs of what happened with Varane. Varane, we wanted him, 19 years old, we wanted him, Sir Alex wanted him. He ended up going to Real Madrid and he was absolutely unbelievable. Okay, yeah, we ended up getting Varane in towards the end of his career and he did a good job for us. But we wanted him right at that young age. Yoro looked like he was destined for Madrid, looked like he was going to Madrid. Man United have swooped in and they've somehow managed to get that deal nearly over the line. It's incredible, really, considering this is a Man United team that finished 8th at the end of last season. And we're in the Europa League, we're not even Champions League football. To compete for one of the best young talents in the world and look like we're going to get that over the line is absolutely fantastic by INEOS. So I'm very happy, and we've always said incomings is massive. We want to get the right incomings in. Striker and centre-back was absolutely huge, but outgoings was massive as well. We were always looking at what fee we were going to get for Greenwood, when we were going to get this deal over the line. We didn't want it to linger on. Sancho was one we were looking at. Doesn't look like he's going to get sold, but he's been resolved. Who else is next? I mean, for me, it's Lindelof or Maguire. It has to be one of them because I want De Ligt to come in. I want De Ligt to come into this football club. I think Yoro's a brilliant signing, and honestly, I've not been this excited for a transfer in a very, very long time. I think it's revolutionary, this signing, I really do. I think it's just a massive, massive statement to the rest of the world. Honestly, a massive statement. He is viewed as a generational talent across Europe. He was destined to go to Real Madrid, and somehow Man United look like they're going to pull this off. Liverpool wanted him, by the way. Liverpool were in that race, and they had to leave it early because it looked like they were going nowhere with it. Man United have still got that pull and we've managed to do it. It looks like he's on his way for a medical. I don't think you are going to do your medical and then just turn around and be like, actually, I'm not signing anymore. I think this will happen. I've said for a few weeks, I just had a gut feeling it was going to happen, and it looks like it's happening. So it's exciting times for Manchester United right now, but we need another centre-back. I don't think we can just get Yoro in, which means for me, the next outgoing, which we can now focus on, now we've got Greenwood out the door, is I think you've got to have a conversation with Lindelof and Maguire and say, look, this is where you're at in the pecking order, and realistically, we want to move you on. As ruthless as that may sound, sometimes you've got to be ruthless in football. And, you know, Lindelof, I just seen the happy birthday post for him, happy 30th birthday. He's been a decent centre-back for us over the years. He's not been absolutely top quality, but he's been decent. And yeah, he's known his place as sort of a rotational centre-back, but with a year left on his contract and getting to 30 years old, it's time to move on. He's never going to be a starter continuously for Manchester United. Harry Maguire, you know, Ten Hag was willing to sign you last season. Yeah, you had a good season for us and you were an important player last season, but that was in a season where our whole backline was injured throughout the whole campaign. He was injury prone himself. Let's not get that wrong. Maguire has been quite injury prone over the last couple of years. Maybe you have a conversation with him and say, look, you're not going to be starting. Gareth Southgate's no longer England manager. You want to be in the England team. Like, what sort of deal can we work out here? Because we want to bring in another centre-back. We know that's based on outgoings now. Ornstein has made that clear. It's based on how much money we can get in through outgoings. Mason Greenwood is a good start, getting near enough £25 million in for him. Now you've just got to go and invest that money into a signing that is going to help us, and I think that should be another centre-back, and you also need either a Lindelof or Maguire to depart for that to happen, it's looking like, as well. Christian Riley says, we wouldn't have got 10 million for Cambuala without INEOS. No, absolutely not. Martin Carrillo says, I just woke up, so much has happened. Yeah, it's crazy. This morning, you know, came into the office. I was expecting to get some news today, but we've had Yoro is literally flying to Manchester for his medical, and probably is going to end up on the pre-season tour as well, which will be so exciting. By the way, anybody who's from the States who's going to be watching America in the States, or anyone who's travelling out there to go and watch, going to be watching America in the States, going to be watching United in the States, or anyone that's travelling out there to watch, we could have Yoro playing, because, you know, he's not been playing international football. He's ready to go out on the pre-season. It's just about getting that deal over the line. So that's exciting to get a new signing on the pre-season tour as well. So I'd get very excited for that. The Great One says, if we get De Ligt, then Maguire and Lindelof will leave. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? But you'd think that, but we have to get them sales confirmed to bring De Ligt in, it's looking like. And I always said I think we'd get both of these players. And I think if we got both of them, it's just absolutely huge. It's a complete overhaul. If you manage to get De Ligt in as well as Yoro, which is exactly what Manchester United should be aiming for, by the way, you've got Martinez at 26, De Ligt at 24, Yoro at 18. Like, you really got a nice selection of centre-backs there. You really do. So I think that is exciting. And you'd have either one of Lindelof or Maguire is going to stay. Either one of them's going to stay. One of them has to leave. And you look at it and you think, who would you rather? I would probably say Lindelof's the one that you'd probably want to sell the most, just because of the impact Maguire had last year. But I also think Lindelof knows his place as a rotational centre-back, and Maguire's probably going to want first-team football. You're not going to get first-team football with Martinez, De Ligt and Yoro there, unless there's a massive injury crisis again, which we don't want to happen. So these players are going to have to make a decision. They need to have a conversation with Erik ten Hag as well. And, you know, Maguire's very much good enough to go and play for a Premier League club. Of course he is. But you're not going to be starting regularly for Manchester United if De Ligt, Martinez and Yoro are fit throughout a season. I also think we must have made some sort of promise over game time to Yoro too. We must have. We must have made some sort of promise over game time to make him choose Manchester United over Real Madrid, which will be very interesting. You know, Kobbie Mainoo did excellently as an 18-year-old coming in last year. Yoro made his debut at 16 for Lille. The youngest ever player, overtaking Eden Hazard, who did that for Lille. I mean, to make your debut at 16 as a centre-back is absolutely insane, by the way. So I do think he's equipped, he's physically able, but it's a lot of pressure. And we need to get a De Ligt in too. And De Ligt wants to come to Manchester United, which is important. And another thing, I'm going to get into some of your chats as well, but another thing on that is Bayern Munich want to go and get Tah. They want to go and get Jonathan Tah from Leverkusen. They need the De Ligt money to go and do that. I don't think there's anybody else lining up to go and buy De Ligt. I really don't. I've not heard any other clubs in that race. So Bayern Munich might think it's time to lower their asking price for De Ligt as well, to kind of make that deal happen, because they need that money to go after Jonathan Tah. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out too. Espin Harristad says we can get Branthwaite and Delit. No, that is kind of pushing the boat a little bit too far. We're not going to get both Branthwaite and Delit. We could get one more depending on outgoings. I think Branthwaite is a write-off, honestly, because Everton are going to demand silly money. And there's reports coming out that Everton are surprised we've bid higher for Yoro than we have for Branthwaite. What? Because Branthwaite's British. Branthwaite is got a high ceiling and he looks like a good player. But there's, Yoro, just because he plays in France doesn't mean he's any less of a centre-back. Yoro is got a very high ceiling, 18 years old. There's a lot of competition there for him. You're competing with Real Madrid. Nobody else is in that race for Branthwaite. So we've not had to go crazy money for it. And we've decided early doors we didn't want to go crazy money for it. The reason why we've probably overpaid for Yoro a little bit is because of ceiling, age, and competition from Madrid. That's why. And if he fulfills his potential, 5 years' time, Yoro's going to be, 23? And his value is going to be absolutely massive again. So I think it's money well invested if he does fulfil what everyone expects him to. Faisal Zia says, shocked we are doing business in July and not waiting for deadline day. Come on, INEOS, bring back the good times. Yeah, it's exciting. It really is exciting. And like I said, I've not been this excited for a signing in a long time. I think Yoro is a huge, huge statement to the rest of Europe as well. You've got the Xerxes interview coming up later as well. We've got loads of things coming up. Yoro news anytime could be coming out anytime. When his flight gets into Manchester, he'll be doing his medical, just needing to sign that contract to get the here we go over the line. You would expect the here we go to come today. There's been a little bit of talk around his wages. It's looking like it's going to be €7 million plus €2 million in bonuses per year for Yoro. I did the maths on that and it worked out at around 134 grand a week in euros. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's looking like a decent wage for Yoro coming in. Definitely a big improvement of what he was on at Lille. And we've had to do that to compete with Real Madrid. And apparently it's looking like every year of his contract, the wage is going to go up for Yoro, but it's not anything absolutely crazy. But yeah, there's going to be more details coming up on that, and we've got a 2 p.m. show to cover that. This show mainly was to talk about the fact that not only is incomings happening, outgoings are happening as well, and Mason Greenwood will be leaving Manchester United. He's going to Marseille. League One, I expect him to do League Un. I expect him to do very well in that league. I expect him to get a lot of goals, a lot of assists, and eventually we could be getting some more money in from Mason Greenwood on top of the €30 million that we're already getting for the sell-on fee. So yeah, keep your eyes on, keep your notifications on. The United Stand will be live whenever we get any new breaking news. Get in the comments down below, what do you think about this? Carez said it's £115,000 a week. Who's next? Who is next? Ugarte? I think Casemiro has to exit for that to happen. A lot of people talking about Frimpong. Wan-Bissaka might have to exit for that to happen. But we've seen the Wan-Bissaka to West Ham news coming out recently. That is a deal that Wan-Bissaka would be looking to do. So who knows? And also, exclusive from Sam C reports as well, is that Manchester United flat out rejected a £17 million bid for Scott McTominay from Fulham. Fulham debating whether they come back in for Scott McTominay. So that's another outgoing you could be looking at. I think Fulham would have to go to 30 million for United to entertain that. But what would you reckon about that as well? That's another one that, if Scott McTominay went to Fulham for around £30 million, if we ended up getting some sort of bid next to 30 million for McTominay, that speeds up the process of getting Ugarte in as well. But look, INEOS are doing a great job so far. I'm excited. We could get a new signing on the tour, and I'm just absolutely buzzing about the Yoro news, and very happy that Greenwood is departing as well, because that just adds money into our transfer fund for this transfer window, and it gets a player that was never going to be able to be used off the books as well, and ends a saga. Last super chat from Matty Batty saying, "Hi Beth, hope you are well. Brilliant news about Yoro. Which position would you prioritise next? Centre back in Delit or midfield in Ugarte?" I mean, if you ask me now if I could only get one in, I'd go with Ugarte, because I feel like we need a holding midfielder. I don't think Casemiro is up to it at all. So I'd go with Ugarte, but I think United have to be thinking big, and for me, it should be De Ligt and Ugarte. We shouldn't be doing either ors. We should be doing both. But look, everyone, thank you for watching. Hit a like on the video. Who is next to leave? Who is next to come in? Would you rather sell Lindelof or Maguire? Let me know. Hit a like on the video. Any more breaking news and we will be with you back here on the United Stand. If not, stay tuned for the 2 p.m. show. Just Football says, need a left back, right wing. CDM is Amrabat/Casemiro or Ugarte. Let's see what happens coming up. But thank you everyone for watching. Mason Greenwood is leaving Manchester United and we'll see you on the next one.